Hi. Um, don't really know where to start because I've been wanting to film a YouTube video for probably years now about journaling, you know. Um, but I never really knew how to do it. And then recently I just finally decided that I needed to get over myself and just do it because I don't think anybody knows what they're doing the first time they film a YouTube video. But essentially, I wanted to make a video about my traveler's notebook and I guess how the traveler's company notebook system kind of ruined journaling for me, and not in a negative sense. It's just once you've used this system, I feel like it's very hard to go back to a traditional bound book type system. So I'll elaborate a little bit. I've been journaling most of my life since I was about 12 or 13. It's one of the things about growing up undiagnosed neurodivergent is journaling. It becomes a very, very big coping skill. So I have always kept books since I was a young child, but I always would use like those cheap ones that you get at like, if you've ever gone to Ross, you know those cheap notebooks that you get, the ones that are $4 or $5, and they have all of the like the little flower designs on them, and they're just very visually stimulating. They look like an wallpaper you'd see in your grandma's house. So I used to always use those for many years. I still have them actually, but I feel like I have too many notebooks here to bring every single notebook in my archive back over here. Um, but yeah, I used those for many years. And then probably 2017, 2016-ish, I think it was 2016, I discovered Seaweed Kiss's YouTube channel. So I've been watching her for a really long time. And she had a bunch of videos about the Travelers Company notebook system. And I was very intrigued by it because I'd only ever up to that point used books like this and like this. I'd used notebooks kind of like this for a long time. I actually really like this company, this Manufactus. They make really nice journals. I got this one at Barnes and Noble, and I don't use it regularly. It's more of like a every single day, is not what goes in here. It's more like every few months, every few months, like few and far between, I'll come in here and just write about kind of life updates. It's kind of like, those 5-year journals, like those 5-year notebooks that people have. So I do like these, but the problem with these is that even though this one's refillable, like this size, the A5, it's not portable. Like I can't take it everywhere with me. It's very difficult to carry around day to day. And I don't like lined paper. I never really realized that until a few years ago, that lined paper felt very restrictive to me. Um, so I have a lot of these, but they're kind of half filled, like not this specific, but kind of, bound notebooks. They're half filled. So when I discovered the Traveler's Notebook via Seaweed Kiss's YouTube channel, I was so intrigued. I got one off Amazon, and I have used this system in some form or fashion for almost the past 10 years. This is not the first one I had, actually. It was this one. You can see how beat up it is. This is my first Traveler's Notebook. You can see all the marks. I stamped it at one point. It has a little rivet because my cat chewed the corner of it and it was kind of hanging off. So I like used a rivet to kind of like reinforce it. But yeah, this was my first one, and I've had this for almost 10 years now. So I used it quite a bit. I would switch a lot. I had a problem with sizing, I guess, because I like this size, but I don't tend to take it out of the house with me a lot because it is still quite large for my bag. I do have one of the passport size ones, and I can take that one out of the house with me. For a lot of years, I used the pocket size, like I don't know, what would this be? It's not an A6 really. This is more of an A6. So these are the Stalogy notebooks. These are the ones with like the year 300 and something pages in here. I was using these. I keep all of the notebooks in my archive dated. I was using these for a few years, maybe 2 or 3 years, and I had a lot of like sticky club like stickers inside of them. um, because I had a sticky cup subscription for a really long time, and I really liked these because I liked the security of, because your journal is kind of like a security blanket. At least that's what they've always been for me. Um, and I just feel like your journal is whatever you need it to be, right? So for a long time, I would take these with me everywhere, just use it to reference stuff if I needed to reference something. But 2023-ish, around that time, I moved to this Stalogy notebooks, and I really, really liked them because the paper is it's great. It's very, I don't know if it's Tomoe River paper, but it's very like thin paper, and it doesn't bleed through, at least not with the gel pens that I use. So I could spend a really, really long amount of time in one of these, like probably 6 months or so. And I liked that, and I liked the small form factor. I actually had purchased some leather covers for these off of Etsy. Let me see if I can grab one of them right here. So I purchased these off of Etsy, off of an Etsy store. I think her name is Jenica's Journals, and these are really nice. This one is like a Minerva box leather, and it's very like, it just feels really nice. It's very soft. It kind of feels like an old baseball glove. It still smells like, I've had this for years and it still smells good. But essentially, they were just folios. And I would carry it around like this most of the time in my bag. So I had that for a couple of years. I also had this one. She makes all kinds of different sizes. If you guys are looking for a folio, like a custom made, I would check her out because her shop is reasonably priced. I think, yeah, you can see her little maker's mark, Jenica's Journals. It's very like, you can't see it as much on this one, but they're very nice. So I used these for quite a while, a couple of years. But I've always had a hard time staying in one notebook. I think that's the kind of the curse of, if you're a notebook person, it's hard to stay in one book because you always feel like you can find like something better, or in terms of like something that will fit you better and will be a better system for you or more useful. So after that, I came back into this one, which, like I said, I've been using this kind of system of refillable inserts in some form or fashion for almost 10 years because I was just never really able to, like, even though I would try to use these, like, I would still have one of these that I would use in tandem. So I actually just finished, well, it's not fully finished, but finished this insert. And I say finished because I had to finally just retire it. It has like 20 to 30 pages in the back that are still not filled up. But this is from Sterling Ink. This is really nice. I think it has Tomoe River paper, and the pages are numbered. The ink does not bleed through. I use gel pens. I use fountain pens in this. One of my favorite pens to use right now is let's see if I can get it here. It's a TWSBI. This is a TWSBI Echo. It is a F nib, and I got this at Kinokuniya. It's like a Japanese stationery store. Um, these are a little bit pricey, at least where I live. It's hard to find these unless you order them from Amazon. But I always would rather, if there's something like this, I could buy it in person because I want to see it and like hold it and see if I like it. So yeah, I got this at Kinokuniya, and it was a little on the pricey side, but it's very nice. I love the inkwell that it has, so you can see exactly how much ink you have. Right now, this is inked up with the Noodler's Saddle Brown ink. It's a very beautiful ink. I'll show you in a minute here in this notebook. But yeah, I used this for quite a while. I have like I do like spreads based on video games in my notebooks sometimes. Like, let me see. I think I have a spread here where I was, did one about, I have been playing Baldur's Gate, like just, I've been obsessed, like can't stop, won't stop. So, I've been playing this, like I've put so many hours in that game. And I'll make different like pages based on some of the characters that I like in the game. These are engagement photos of my fiance and I, before we were married. He's now my husband, but actually, that was another reason why I wanted to film this video. I was like, he's at work, so the house is really quiet. Unless my cat decides to come over here and interrupt, which she probably will at some point. But I thought this would be the perfect time to try my hand at this. But yeah, I really liked this. I had to stop obviously writing because it's gotten so, like, I put all kinds of stuff in my notebooks. This was like I was in the hospital recently, and somebody had my dad had brought me a card, so I'll like just put all kinds of stuff in here. I don't really subscribe to that sort of, you know, perfectly neat. I just don't feel like notebooks should be like my notebooks. At least I've seen other people's notebooks where they're like perfectly like curated and they're so pretty, and they have like everything's like in straight, they have little stickers and they just look so put together, which I feel like everyone has their own style of journaling. You just have to find it. For me at least, I just don't I don't really like feeling constricted in my notebooks. I just want to put anything and everything I want in there. Like this was another, somebody gave me a card and I just put it in there. If it fits, it's going in the notebook, basically, is my rule of thumb with my journals. So this is too bulky to write in anymore, because it was like when you try to write in it, it was like a hump because there was so much stuff in it. So I recently retired this one. I got a good like almost 8 months out of this. But imagine, like, look how thick this is when it was in here. The poor notebook cover could hardly close with it in there. And I've seen other people who like having their notebooks like that, which I don't mind a chunky notebook. I love that. I like, another YouTuber I watch is Jane the Crazy. She has like, I love her style of notebook. It's so like, it's so artsy and messy, and it's very cool. But yeah, I just actually, so this is one of the Travelers Company, their grid insert. So it's just, I have a pen test page back here. So I did some, this is the, this pen, actually the fountain pen. But you can see it doesn't, I love their paper because it doesn't bleed through. These are, so if I'm not using a fountain pen like that, I'll use a gel pen. I love the Zebra Sarasa. And those are pretty, wet, like pens, as far as they write very smoothly, and they have quite a bit of ink that comes out of them when you're writing, but it doesn't bleed through. So I didn't really know how to, I haven't had an insert like this in a while, so I didn't really know what to do for the cover. I just found an old piece of like scrapbook paper, and I used it to cover the spine. And then I got some washi tape and a couple of stickers that I had. I'm probably going to put more stuff on it because if you probably noticed this, usually my notebooks look like this. This is my calendar, and I love the Travelers Company, the undated monthly calendar. That's what I use to plan my entire life essentially, and it's been working for me for almost 2 years at this point. So I don't see any reason to change it. I don't change my notebooks unless I feel that it's not working for me anymore. But I don't know, Travelers Company, there's just something about them with, everything being made to fit the notebook. It's everything's curated to the notebook itself. I have the brass, it's like a bookmark ruler. I use this quite a bit when I'm drawing stuff in my notebooks. But yeah, I do like this. I love the fact of, this being undated. You can sort of start the week on any day that you want. You can date it and decorate it. I love the blankness of this, where you can just kind of do whatever you want. I have different themes each month. Like this month, I think I had like different, like, little stickers and stuff. This picture of my sisters and I, like, I'm the oldest, so I just keep little family photos in here. I have I have different little pictures that I've printed out from different movies. I'm very into, like, movies, TV shows and stuff. Feel like most of us are, but the ones that especially speak to me, I like to keep parts of them in my notebook. And that's one of my favorite Ghibli movies, is Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. So I have that. This is from, actually, that's my cat, Wednesday. This is from Castle in the Sky. I have this in here. It's like a little, I don't know if it's like it was a movie poster that they had used to promote the movie. I'm not really sure, but I had seen it on Pinterest and I thought it was so cool looking. So I printed out, laminated it. And it's my sister and my brother-in-law over there. I just have little just Polaroids and stuff. I know that these pockets generally are for like credit cards and stuff. I don't use this as a wallet. I did at one point, but I just, like I said, I find that this one doesn't, I don't take it with me out of the house unless I'm traveling. I take the passport size with me when I'm traveling somewhere. So I have another from the movie, another little printout from the movie, because I love this scene when she's sitting on the exoskeleton, and then the spores from the forest start releasing. It's just such a beautiful scene. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I just, I felt like I wanted to make, I guess, my first YouTube video, and this is what I've been doing so far in this one. I only have a couple of pages done, just with little stickers. It's pretty simple. When I was in some of these other notebooks, like these A6, this is another one that I had filled. I used to use that kind of color dot system that Megan Rhiannon uses in her notebooks, which it was really helpful to me to differentiate. When you're in a notebook that has this many pages, that's very helpful. So typically I don't use that sort of like indexing system, unless I'm in a big notebook like this. This one also has an index, and it has like different, I think I used to also have like a little log where I kept my like moods and stuff. I would keep it with the little color dots, because I think anybody with chronic health issues, keeping track of your good and bad days is very important. So I used to use that to keep track of it. But I don't really use the color dots when I'm in something like this, because I do find that these smaller inserts, these only have like, say they have like probably 64 pages or so, I think. These don't last me very long, maybe a couple of months, and I just don't see the point of indexing stuff in these the way that I would in a longer form kind of documentation style of notebook like this, where it's just, this is like 6 months worth of stuff that's happened, and this one's even more. So I don't really see the purpose of that unless I'm in a notebook that has a lot of pages. But yeah, I love the Travelers Company just because of things like this as well. Like I love their pencil boards. I think I have the one from last year too. It was, let me see if I can find it. It was really cute. The one they had last year too. It was like it was Traveler's Town. It was so cute. I love this color scheme, like the brown and the blue. This one's really cute too. I like that it's like love, like the theme is loved. So I had to get it because I was like, I I felt like it was very kind of fitting because when I around the time these were released, I was about to get married. So I was like, oh, that's so perfect. It's like, the year of love. So this was last year's. They hold up really well. There's a little bit of like, I guess it's kind of wearing off a little bit. But all in all, I think that these hold up pretty well if you are using them for their intended purpose, which is to, if you're, I have some of these inserts that were blank and you can use it to make sure your writing is straight or just in general to keep the notebook on a hard surface when you're writing. And I really like them. And then once I have replaced it, I archive it. I just don't really find that other notebook systems have been able to work for me the way that this one has. Like I said, I have tried many times to change my notebook system to go to, a different like style of notebook, a different size, maybe like the A6, or I even had a period where I was using like Chic Sparrow notebooks. I tried so many of their different like notebook sizes, which they're kind of pricey, but they are very nice quality. But they never ended up working out for me. I could never stay in them for more than a few months. And eventually I just ended up selling off all the ones that I wasn't using and just kept my Travelers Company notebooks. And that's kind of my story as far as these notebooks go, is that I love the versatility of them. I know ring planners are having a really big moment right now in the notebook and journaling community, but I just don't have the same, I guess, like feeling when I'm using a ring planner as when I'm using a notebook like this, because I feel like ring planners are very rigid, and the fact of, you have to be a little bit more precious with them because you can't just throw them in your bag because you can mess up the rings. Um, I don't know. That style of notebook keeping doesn't work for me. If it works for you, by all means, I think that whatever works for you is what you should use, because your notebook should be what you need in that moment. But there's something about the Travelers Company notebooks. I stamped this one with my initials, Gigi. Yeah, there's just something about them. They have like this kind of rustic charm. They just remind me. They look like something that Indiana Jones would use. Like, and for somebody who grew up watching like Indiana Jones and like Star Wars and all these, like this looks like a movie prop. Like it looks like something that you would see in a movie that the main character carries around and they're writing all their stuff in it. I don't know. I just always I want things to be functional, but I also am very much a believer in, if something is not pleasing to you to look at, like aesthetically pleasing, you're less likely to use it. At least for me. Like if I had a notebook that was just like, it just looked like something that was, like I had a bunch of like pieces of notebook paper tied together with some string, that's still functional and you can still use it for your intended purpose, but I'm less likely to reach for it. So I don't know. I would, if you've never tried the Traveler's Notebook, I would highly recommend. I got this charm at Hobby Lobby, I think. I don't think they sell these anymore. It's so sad. Hobby Lobby used to sell like a range of brass charms. They were really cheap. They were so affordable because they were literally made of brass, like, you know, which brass ages with time and develops this beautiful patina. But like, they used to sell these at Hobby Lobby and they don't anymore. I have not been able to find them. I got this there too. It's just like a little glass bead that I attached to the bookmark. So yeah, I don't know what this channel is going to be. I really, really love journaling. It's been my main hobby for most of my life, if not more than half my life, I'd say. But I have a lot of other special interests and a lot of things I like to do that are, you know, creative pursuits that I have. So I may include some of those in this channel in my content. Not really sure what all is going to be the main focus of this channel, but I hope that whatever it ends up being, that you'll stay tuned to find out.